Welcome and thank you for joining us today on our second webinar, where we're aiming to provide you with an update on the progress of the Apprenticeship Intermediary service. My name is Sara O'Brien and I'm the lead on the project, and with me is Leeman Robinson, who is the marketing lead in the project team. We expect the webinar to take about 30 to 40 minutes. Like before, this webinar is not focused on the technical aspects of how to use the apprenticeship service or the mechanics of how it works, but instead we'll provide updates on how the project is progressing and where we are in relation to the activities and the development of resources. We do have a larger audience in our first webinar, so I think it's useful if we can give you a little bit of background once again as to what and why we've been contracted by the Education and Skills Funding Agency to deliver the Apprenticeship Intermediary service. Do feel free to submit any questions as we go. Depending on time, we will attempt to answer at the end of the call, the end of the webinar, but we will follow up with an FAQ if any questions are submitted, which we'll send out by email to everybody afterwards. So this is the agenda for today. We'll go through the intermediary service project, the progress to date. We'll talk about some of the activities that we've got in plan, why the apprenticeship service is important, and I'll hand over to Leeman, who will take you through some of the marketing and resource development updates. The next and final webinar is in plan for March the 25th, then a release will be shared nearer to the time for registrations to that. We do encourage suggestions so we can hear about best practice at regional levels and any events that you're involved with around apprenticeships and intermediary work. So let's take a look at an overview of what the Apprenticeship Intermediary service is and why it's being developed. There are 2.6 million smaller employees in England, and the ESFA and Department for Education recognise that to reach this volume of businesses, to communicate the way in which these businesses will engage with apprenticeships in the future is a significant task. By scaling and collaborating with intermediary organisations, the reach of those smaller businesses is far more achievable. 60% of the workforce are employed by a smaller employer, and SMEs have been a big engager of apprenticeships to date. The apprenticeship reforms will see fundamental changes to the way that they engage with apprenticeships moving forward. So NSAR were contracted by the Education and Skills Funding Agency in November to deliver a centralised support service to intermediaries up until March 2020. Our work is to develop resources, practical tools, and deliver regional events in partnership with intermediaries to raise the awareness and increase the understanding of the changes to apprenticeships for smaller employers. Intermediaries are key to smaller businesses being handheld through these changes, but you also need to understand the changes for yourselves first. So our work will ultimately provide apprenticeships advice and help you manoeuvre your way through the changing landscape. We're keen to ensure intermediary knowledge is sustainable to enable you to confidently continue to support smaller businesses from April onwards. So if I can take you through an overview of the key changes for smaller employers. There are two fundamental changes. One is the introduction of the apprenticeship service, and second one is the benefits of the apprenticeship standards for smaller employers. As part of the government's apprenticeship reforms, as we already know, in 2017 the apprenticeship levy was launched. Larger businesses were introduced to a new way of engaging in funding apprenticeships. Large employers with a salary bill of over 3 million have a percentage of funds transferred from them by HMRC and into an online digital account on a monthly basis. These funds can then be spent on apprenticeships. An online digital account service hosted by gov.uk was known as DAS, but has since changed its name to the Apprenticeship Service. This online service enables apprenticeship levy paying businesses to monitor their apprenticeship levy funding, manage their apprenticeships, and pay their training provider for apprenticeships they deliver. Smaller employers access apprenticeship funding directly through training providers who have held non-levy funding contracts. These contracts were awarded by the ESFA. The key change in January 2020 was the introduction of the online apprenticeship service being opened up to smaller employers. So essentially businesses who do not pay the apprenticeship levy. Smaller businesses can now access apprenticeship funding by creating their very own apprenticeship service account. This new introduction is in a phase of transition. Non-levy funded contracts are being phased out. In essence, once a training provider has fully spent their non-levy funding, new contracts will not be awarded. Instead, a smaller employer will reserve apprenticeship funding through their apprenticeship service account, which you can see registered here on this screen. Currently, the maximum number of apprenticeships a smaller employer can reserve funding for through their apprenticeship service account is 3. This screenshot and link is where they can access and create their account quickly and easily. The benefits of this new way of engaging with apprenticeships give smaller employers more control over the apprenticeship process, and they also have the choice of passing the responsibility for managing this account over to their training provider on their behalf. It's expected that lots of training providers may want to offer this as an added value as part of their service proposition. Other benefits of the apprenticeship service means smaller employers can also accept apprenticeship levy transfer funds into their account from larger businesses who have unspent levy funds that are at risk of expiring. They will have more choice in choosing apprenticeship training partners. Up until now, they have been limited to only choosing providers who have held non-levy contracts. Using the apprenticeship service, they will now be able to access far more providers than before. The apprenticeship service can also show how well training providers perform, so smaller employers can make informed decisions on when choosing a training partner, and they will even be able to read other employers' feedback on their experience of that provider. As well as finding apprenticeship providers and choosing apprenticeship standards, the apprenticeship service will offer up lots of information around apprenticeships. Our work on this project is to provide information, tools and resources to intermediaries in a language easy to understand, which will help you to also understand and navigate the changes of the apprenticeship service. It will help raise your understanding of apprenticeship standards, which will then in turn help you to continue to provide advice and support to your smaller business networks, enabling them to then also navigate and understand the changes too. The progress of the project so far has seen us develop a national intermediary engagement plan, and working closely with the ESFA, we've established a large network in quite a short space of time. In terms of how we've done this slide shows how we've broken down the regions in England, which we've aligned to the way that BAYS and the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network structure their regions. We've then further broken those down into LEP regions. There are 38 LEPs in England, and significantly more intermediaries in each region. So to mobilise and scale, we've recruited partnership leads to engage with intermediaries in assigned clusters across the country. These partnership leads are already well connected in their regions and are very experienced within apprenticeships, which means we can respond well to the tight timescales and fast-paced nature of the project. They will engage regionally and disseminate the tools, resources and information to intermediaries and attend events to support employer and intermediary engagement to raise the awareness of the changes and keep conversations going. So the story so far, to date we've engaged with 366 intermediaries across England. We are presenting at 56 employer and intermediary events. We have 49 intermediary and provider masterclasses in plan for March and 5 webinars which will have been delivered by the end of March. To give you a flavour of some of the 105 events, we have 2 provider and 2 intermediary masterclasses in March in Birmingham at Edgbaston Cricket Ground. This is in partnership with West Midlands Combined Authority, Black Country LEP, Greater Birmingham and Solihull LEP, and Coventry and Warwickshire LEP. Dates for these are 6th and the 18th of March. We're delivering exclusive webinars to CITB and Federation of Small Businesses so their staff understand the apprenticeship service to enable them to continue to support the members and networks through the changes. We're hosting an employer and provider partnership event in Leeds with Shipley College and the West Yorkshire Consortium of Colleges on the 27th of March to update on the apprenticeship service, apprenticeship standards and the apprenticeship intermediary service. Another event in Leeds with West Yorkshire Combined Authority on the 17th of March will see us present to the team of business advisors on how to use the apprenticeship service and how apprenticeship standards are great for growth and smaller business sustainability. You'll see the masterclass agenda on this slide. We'll cover 5 key topics. You can register for masterclasses in your region through Eventbrite, which we'll push out both on social channels but also on our distribution list. To receive notifications and the resources, please email us on the email address at the bottom of this slide to register your details. These workshops are designed to be interactive and informative, as are the resources. We're also introducing an additional service throughout March. This will be to support the ESFA's National Contact Centre, and we'll be helping smaller employees register their business onto the apprenticeship service over the phone and create an account. You can refer businesses to us for registration to the Apprenticeships Instar email, or alternatively, you can direct them to the ESFA's National Contact Centre on 0800 015 0600. An integral part of the activity is the development of vital resources and materials. So if I can pass now over to Leeman, who will talk you through these.
Thank you, Sara. We're now going to give a summary of the materials that we've been developing on this project, the one-pager. You may have already seen the one-pager summary, which describes the initiative and why the service is needed. If you don't have this, please let us know and advise us so we can send it on to you. Videos. You may have also seen a headline video which introduces the Apprenticeship Intermediary service. In addition, we've also undertaken a short interview with NSAR CEO Neil Robertson, where Neil discusses the challenges that small employers face in understanding the government apprenticeship service and how the Apprenticeship Intermediary service can help you. In addition, we've also recorded the Apprenticeship Intermediary webinar, the previous one, which took place on the 29th of January. The webinar is a previous version of what we're doing today, but please note today's webinar will also be recorded and all our videos will be available via the YouTube channel. Microsite. As mentioned, we have a microsite which is in its final stages of development. The site will act as a hub and a call to action for intermediaries. It consists of a range of resources, including videos, guides, and an event calendar, enabling intermediaries to confidently engage with small employers within their networks and regions. In addition, there will also be many types of benefits available for utilizing the apprenticeships within their organizations. We've also fitted a tracking tool and analytics tool so we can monitor traffic, activity, and measure performance. The microsite is currently under review with the ESFA and should be approved to go live shortly. The microsite will continue to evolve with content being added on a frequent basis. Toolkits and tools. Extensive work has been done to develop a toolkit which will act as a flagship guide for our intermediaries. You'll be able to use an interactive toolkit to navigate and easily in a simple language. The slide shows the content of the toolkit on the menu on the right-hand side, which will be a downloadable e-brochure from the microsite. This interactive PDF will navigate you through links to both tools and directly to other resources and information. Now the tools. You can see from the menu on the right-hand side that you'll be able to download both directly from the microsite and also through an electronic PDF. There are over 35 downloadable guides and tools in development, which include step-by-step instructions on how to register for the apprenticeship service, accept level transfers, create a government gateway ID, use the apprenticeship service, add apprentices and set up payments on the apprenticeship service reserve funding, prove entries on the apprenticeship service, change your password on the apprenticeship service, and a diagnostic tool, and many, many more. There will also be guides available for employers that will become useful and help become more involved in the implementation and ongoing management of apprenticeship programs. These guides will enable small employers to take a more balanced approach in partnership work with their training provider and feel more confident when co-creating relevant learning content for the apprenticeship standards which meet their specific business needs. Signposting other tools. As much as we've developed our own content, one of our objectives is to act as a conduit to direct traffic and inquiries to the ESFA content and tools. When the microsite goes live, you will see that it has direct links to the ESFA content. The ESFA are also developing an employer hub to make it easier for employers to access information. Case studies. Finally, we're looking for case studies which focus on smaller employers describing positive experiences they've had with apprenticeships. So if you can think of anyone who has had anything compelling to say, please get in contact with us. I now pass you back to Sara.
Thanks for that, Leeman. So our approach, I guess, in a very short space of time is to work collaboratively with intermediaries to enable you to keep the conversations going, scale, reach, and deliver as much activity as we can. This slide tells you a little bit about the approach that we're taking, but ultimately this is about providing you with the resources, support, and information on apprenticeship changes for smaller employers and ensure we can help embed the knowledge and increase smaller employer engagement in accessing apprenticeships. As part of this project, we will provide evaluation reports to ESFA and make recommendations as part of the findings to help continue to support you, support providers, and smaller employers. The last slide is a call to action on ways that you can get involved. The very least we ask for is for you to provide email contacts to our distribution list, so you access the resources, information and tools that Leeman's talked about today, and you can share them with your networks. The most that we ask for is for you to get involved in masterclasses or events and follow us on social. For more information or to get involved, you can contact us at apprenticeships@nsar.co.uk. These slides, as we've said, will be on YouTube afterwards. Any questions that we receive will be circulated through an FAQ, and that's it for today. Thank you for your time. Our next webinar again is on March the 25th, and we will be releasing the invite link in due course. Many thanks.